Jill Miller from Sioux City has been doing our pre-meeting musical entertainment this evening. We thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
JillMillerMusic.com?
Yes.
All right, JillMillerMusic.com. She's going to do one more song for us, God Bless America, and then we'll start the business meeting. Jill?
Let me start over. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Thank you, Jill. Great job. Let's give one more round of applause for her. So before we start the meeting tonight, we're going to run a little video that shows some of the highlights of 2024. It was a busy year, successful year, and Emily Vandervelde, our communications coordinator, has put this together. She has a gift for doing some of those things. She's the one that came up with the theme of connecting the pieces this year also. So great job, Emily. Let's take a look at the video.
As you can see, it was a very challenging year, but our REC had a great year. Good evening, I'm Jeff Rader, President of Northwest REC Board. I'd like to welcome everyone to the annual meeting of Northwest REC. We're excited to have such a great turnout in attendance this evening. We also have a number of members joining us through our Facebook Live broadcast. We welcome all of you also. If you're joining us virtually this evening on Facebook Live, we invite you to text this number to get registered for door prize drawings later. 833-692-0554. Please text NWREC 2025. You'll receive a text asking you to text your name. At this time, I'd like to call the annual meeting order and invite Steve Brown, our Board Secretary and District 3 Director, to come forward to give the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Steve will also present the notice of the meeting and quorum declarations. Steve? Eve.
And bow for a word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, I come before you this evening humbled by your mercy and grace towards us, and we are grateful for your faithfulness. Tonight we are blessed to be able to gather here to give thanks for loyal members and exceptional linemen and support staff who give of their time and talents to serve our membership and advance the productivity of our co-op. Be it line improvement, new technologies to streamline processes for efficiency, or cyber security for data and records. In the hopes Northwest REC can be a continued part of community growth with our local businesses and education opportunities, seeking to unite with members and communities to inspire a vibrant and quality of life and service to each other. Almighty God, be ever present with the men and women in all the branches of the military. Protect them in their duties, be with their families. We honor their service to us and pray for peaceful resolutions. Our veterans paved the way for those freedoms. We enjoy and we honor that commitment. May we all strive to protect those freedoms with our loyalty to God and country. Lord, we lift up our nation and world in prayer, knowing of the unrest and turmoil only makes it more obvious that we need divine intervention in making decisions for lasting peace. We have government officials and rulers around the world. Here in the United States, we are expected to obey the laws. And as we try, sometimes we fall short. And there is a penalty. But there is hope. We have a true King. As we think of Easter coming in a few weeks, let us remember Jesus Christ's suffering and death, and the sorrow we feel because of our sins, and that Christ paid our death penalty, atonement once for all, that on the cross. But then 3 days later rose from the dead, conquering death and providing forgiveness for sin, and an eternal home with him in heaven. So then, this Easter, as we gather together to worship, we may reflect on Jesus' earthly life, his struggles, disappointments, losses in his earthly life, for our benefit because of his unfathomable love, unending love for us. May we celebrate with joy our risen Savior and his indwelling Spirit that can live forever in our hearts. All glory to Jesus Christ, our Savior and Redeemer. Amen.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, I certify that a notice of the annual meeting to be held on March 25th, 2025 was mailed to each member of the cooperative at his or her address as it appears in the records of the cooperative on March 3rd, 2025. I further certify that a quorum has been established with over 10% of the members returning a mail ballot, and that corporate business in the name of Northwest Rural Electric Cooperative can now be transacted. Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of this report and request that it be filed with the records of this annual meeting.
It's been moved that we approve the minutes. Is there support to that motion? Support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
We'll have the approval of the annual meeting minutes. The minutes of the annual meeting on March 26, 2024 were included in the annual meeting mailing that was mailed to all members. Mr. Chairman, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve their adoption.
It's been moved. Is there support? Any support? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next, I would like to have Adam Schmidt come forward to give the nominating chair committee report. Adam was selected as chairman. Adam, would you please come forward and present the committee report?
The Committee on the Nominations of Northwest Rural Electric Cooperative, consisting of 9 members appointed by the Board of Directors of said cooperative, duly assembled and met on January 21st, 2025, with the following named present: Dick Homan, Adam Schmidt, Jason Marino, Gail Van Berkom, Verdine Otto, Ken Van Donsler, Ron Rice, Nick Van Ort, and Greg Ripke. That Adam Schmidt was chosen as chairman of the committee and Verdine Otto was chosen as secretary. And the committee thereupon was declared open for business and duly organized. That it was moved, seconded, and unanimously carried that the following be placed in nomination for election of the board of directors of the cooperative to be voted on and elected at the annual meeting of the cooperative to be held on the 25th day of March, to wit, District 1, Steve Abma and Calvin Baker. District 3, Jeff Arns, Dave Bruggeman. District 4, Dale Ulrich. It was moved, seconded, and unanimously carried that the committee adjourn.
That's a motion to approve that report. Is there a second to that motion? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I'd like to thank the committee for their dedicated report. At this time, if for the ones that are like to introduce the directors that are running up for election in District 1, current director Steve Adma and Calvin Baker. I don't know if Calvin's here. Okay, in District 2, we did not have an election this year. District 3, Doug Becker, who decided not to run. So we have 2 new candidates, Jeff Arns and Dave Bruggeman. Are they here? Not seeing them. Okay, in District 4, Dale Aldridge. Okay. We'd like to thank all of those people that are willing to run to be on the ballot to support the cooperative. At this time, I'll declare the election, director election closed. Also want to take this opportunity to recognize and thank Doug Becker for his 12 years of dedicated service to the District 3. Doug came from the co-op world. He was manager or board president down at Hinton and brought some very good expertise to the board, and he will definitely be missed. So on behalf of the board and the staff, I'd like to thank Doug. Would you please give him a round of applause for his 12 years of service?
At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce our current board of directors. From District 1, you've already met our board president, Jeff Rader. Jeff also serves on our CFC board, our cooperative lender. We have Dave Bosma and also Steve Abma. In District 2, Tom Wagner, who also represents us on the NIPCO board and the Basin Electric board, and Dan Van Beek. In District 3, Doug Becker, Steve Brown, Scott Firehelm, and Shirley Schrader. Shirley is our Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Steve Brown is our Secretary. Doug Becker was previously Vice President of the board. And in District 4, we have Dan Hoffman and Dale Ulrich. We have 11 very dedicated board members, and I would ask if they would stand up and if you would give them a round of applause, please. I would also just like to thank Doug Becker for his many years of service, 12 years, I believe. And as I mentioned, he had previously been vice president, also served on a number of our committees, our Operation Roundup Committee, our Labor and Public Relations Committee, Legislative Committee, and just whenever we needed his input or thoughts on things, Doug was always a good voice, and I think represented District 3, but all of our members very well. So please join me in thanking Doug again for his years of service. And we'll miss his wife, Peg, being part of the family too. So. Also like to introduce our staff. They're in the back. The ladies have the bright pink shirts on, and the guys have kind of a boring white with a little blue stripe on it, but we have 39 employees. They do a great job. I know Matt always says, you know, no question, NIPCO's got the best employees. Well, we wouldn't agree with that, Matt. I think ours are even better, but they're both great. We thank all of our employees for their dedication. Too loud or not loud enough? Okay. For their dedication, for their hard work, and how they work to carry out our mission of providing reliable electric service at the lowest possible cost for our members. So please join me in thanking our employees for their service. At this time, and here's some pictures. Quite a crew right there, the member service guys. I don't know, Lee always looks like he's just pulled a fast one on somebody. I don't know. At this time, I'd like to ask our youth tour students to come forward. We had 2 of them last year. We had Ellie Arns, who attends Galen, and Brody Knapp, who attends Akron Westfield, and they got to go to Washington, D.C. last June, I believe it was. And I think they had a good time. They represented Northwest REC very well, and they put together some slides here. So you need to talk pretty close to the mic. I'll let you go ahead and advance the clicker there.
Good evening. We're just here to share a little bit about our trip. So we're going to walk you through a little bit of what we did in Washington. So we started off day 1, right off the bat, we flew to Washington, and we started at Fort McHenry, and we did a tour, which was very exciting. And then we got to the hotel, rested, and we had a dinner cruise on the Potomac River when we met up with some other states, such as Kansas and Hawaii and South Carolina.
Day 2 was full of fun. We went to the Air Force Memorial. That was really cool. The Jefferson Memorial, that was one of my favorite parts. And then for breakfast that day, we went to a local restaurant, and that was really good. And then throughout the trip, we could get snacks from the Munchie Co-op, board meat from the Munchie Co-op, and Ellie was on that, and that was cool. It was kind of student-led, and they priced snacks, and we got a certain amount of money to spend on the snacks throughout the trip.
Continuing on day 2, we then went to the Air and Space Museum, which was very cool. We saw lots of planes and spent a long time there. And then we went for lunch at Ben's Chili Bowl, which I'm told is a tradition, which was very exciting to see and experience for ourselves.
Also, we went to the Albert Einstein Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, the Vietnam War Memorial, the National World War II Memorial, which I thought was really cool because there was a whole bunch of people there, and it was just cool to see. The Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial, that was interesting to see all the statues of people. And then the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, that one we weren't there very long, but it was really cool to see the statue and why it's unfinished and learn about it.
That was day 2 in a wrap, just a little sightseeing of DC. So then we started day 3 at Capitol Hill, which was exciting. We got to meet in Capitol Hill and have breakfast and talk to some of the interns there. And then we got to meet with our senators Grassley and Ernst and ask them some questions, which was very exciting.
We were very busy on all the days. We also went to the Arlington National Cemetery, and that was quite a sight to see. We got to see changing of the flag, and that was cool. And then we also went to the 9/11 Memorial that day, and we got to listen to the band play, and that was really amazing. It was cool. We sat there for probably a few hours and just listened to the band.
Okay, on day 4, we went to the National Museum of the United States Army, which was personally one of my favorite museums to see. And we went to Mount Vernon to see George Washington's house. And then for a little bit of excitement, we went paddle boating, which was interesting to see us all try and do that, but it was a fun experience.
So throughout the whole trip, there were obviously other states, and every state had their own pin, so or a collectible and a tradable item. Iowa had a corn necklace, and other states had logos. Alaska, for example, had Alaska the state in pin form, and that was really cool. Or Kansas and Hawaii were together, which we thought was kind of odd, but they had a pin. And just every state we met had a pin, and almost every place we went had a pin. And there was actually a contest between all of us from Iowa to see who could get the most pins. And I won. And I got an Amazon gift card, but it was cool. Oh, and also on that day we went to the youth conference, which was really cool to get to hear about and sit with other states.
Okay, to wrap it up, we have day 5. So we went to the Washington Monument in the morning, and in the afternoon we had lunch with our closing meeting for our mini co-op, which was exciting because I ran for board of directors and I got president, so I got to lead the meeting and close off our co-op that lasted about a week. So it was a fun experience for me to learn more about what co-ops do.
We also went to the White House. We did not get to go in the White House, but we did see several groups going in. And fun fact, while we were there, we were taking pictures. There was a man that walked up to us with a speaker and said, "Do the Cupid Shuffle with me." So we're here learning about the White House, and we started dancing, which we did not expect, but it was fun.
We just want to say thank you to Northwest REC for our trip, and we really enjoyed it.
Thank you guys very much. It was an unforgettable experience.
Just want to say thank you to Ellie and Brody for sharing about their experience. This summer, we're excited to have 2 more students representing Northwest REC on the youth tour, and those students are Tyler Fredrickson from Holstein and Elsie Van Beek from Sioux Center. One of the values Northwest REC has is commitment to our members, employees, and community. The youth tour is just one example of our commitment to our members and communities, specifically our youth. Our scholarship program is another example of this commitment. With that said, it's our privilege to award several scholarships each year. As in prior years, we had great participation and interest, and we received 73 applications. Northwest REC awards 2 $1,000 scholarships in each of the 4 districts we serve, with all other applicants receiving either a $500 or $250 scholarship. The scholarship committee received all these applications and reviewed them, which made the application process or the selection process very difficult. Now we're going to announce the winners of the $1,000 scholarships. In District 1, or Sioux County, it was Trey Bogard and Carson Valentine. In District 2, O'Brien County, it was Derek Paulson and Elsie Schaefer. In District 3, or Plymouth County, it was Haley Feldman and Andrea Sandall. And in District 4, Ida County, it was Anna Hoffman and Byron Godberson. When all the scholarship honors are distributed, the amount awarded to students this year is over $31,000. We want to thank all the students who took time to complete and submit an application form this year, and we encourage any students who might meet the requirements for Northwest REC's program to apply next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee, for congratulations again to all the youth tour and scholarship winners. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. I'll ask Tom Wagner to come forward, or treasurer of the board, to present the report. Tom.
Hello, everyone. Your co-op in 2024 had another good year. The financial report was handed out when you came in, and it also was sent in the mail with your ballot and everything earlier. So if you got to look through that or have a question on anything in there, grab somebody that might be able to help you there from the co-op. But we had a good year. Total revenues were $58 million. That was up from $53.6 million in 2023. We had a 6.7% increase in kilowatt hours sold. Closer. Then they'll all hear me. All right. The operating expenses, just like every year we show this, if you look at it sometimes we put it in the program as a dollar bill, but 80% or 80 cents or 79 cents of every dollar goes to our power provider, which makes sense. That's the product we sell. And we don't have a lot of control over that, so that's what it is. What we do have control of is the other 21% of our expenses, and I think the board and management and the employees of Northwest REC do a good job of managing those expenses. Total margins were $5.2 million in 2024. 3.4 of that was from our membership with NIPCO and CFC. The other $1.8 million was generated from operations. We have a very healthy balance sheet, $153 million of assets. That was up $11.4 million. A member equity, which is your member, you and us, our share of the co-op is at $70 million. And we do have we've talked about our margin stabilization program for years. We do have $9.9 million in that. And over the next few years, that'll be very vital to our co-op as we use that. Probably the biggest way that we feel being members of a co-op is when we retire patronage. And I think we've done a really good job over the years. Last year, we retired over $2 million in patronage. Typically, we retire the oldest patronage. The last couple years, we've done that, the lion's share of it, but we've also done the current year or the previous year's margin. So that way, members, either new and old, can feel, get that benefit of being a member of the co-op. And in total, we've retired over $35 million since the co-ops were formed. We have 7 co-op principles that we operate by. One of them being member economic participation. And I think a couple of the ways we've shown that is we've had 9.5 years of stable rates. We all appreciate that in the face of inflationary times. So that's been great. And we've also given back in Patrick's retirement $1.2 or $2.1 million. And with that kind of is kind of the principles of being a co-op and the strength of our co-op. With that, Jeff, that's our treasurer's report.
Cut out. That's Tom's motion to approve the treasurer's report. Is there support to his motion? Support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next thing, one of our linemen, Mike Birkenpass, who leads our Lamar's crew, participated in the lead NRCA International Project in Guatemala last summer. We are grateful to show a short video that highlights this trip and the great work that the 7 linemen from Iowa and from Minnesota did to help bring electricity for the first time to a village in Guatemala. Following the video, we will have a panel discussion.
We came to Guatemala to help build some power lines into a village that's never had power before.
The 13 other guys and myself are in Guatemala, and we're building a line to a village. I think it's 3.5 miles. We wired 30 homes, I believe. So, we started from scratch. We, roughed everything and pulled the wire and turned the electricity on for them.
I expected it to be rugged. And I didn't realize how unready I was, because it was wild. It was up and down and a lot of physical labor.
We had string wire with the help of the villagers over big canyons and through the jungle to get it to where we needed it to be. Long spans, 1,200-foot span was the longest. We had a 900-foot, and I think a 600-foot also.
A lot of wires everywhere, putting wire on poles that were sticks, basically. It was whatever it was we could do to make it work.
Teamwork is great. It doesn't matter. You get a bunch of guys from different states going together, and they just fall in and start doing their thing. Everybody kind of just went to work. Nobody had to explain everything. For 14 guys from all different co-ops to work together smoothly and everything, it was pretty amazing, to be honest.
Was it hard work? Yeah, but the villagers were there at every step of the way to take whatever bags, whatever tools you had, carry them to the next spot. They pulled all the wire out straight down the mountainside and straight back up the next side.
They carried our gear bags out for us because it was too muddy for us to carry them and get trucks in there. Right, without the locals, my gear bag probably would have stayed in the village.
Small kids to the oldest gentleman in the village, they were right there wanting to do whatever they could to make your life easier, even though we're there to make their life easier.
Working in a house, we had two boys with us. One was 9, one was 12. And I had asked, what is one thing that you're really looking forward to with getting electricity? And they both agreed that just having light, so they didn't have to use candles anymore. And I had also asked another gentleman, he was 53 years old, lived in the village his whole life, and he can't wait to be able to get a fridge, just so they can keep food.
I can use a blender and the iron to iron the clothes, and a washer to wash our clothes.
I think we are going to live a life that is different now because it was difficult without electricity.
If you have the time and the want to come down to a place like this, it's an absolute blessing, and you will definitely not regret putting your time in.
Step out of your comfort zone and do it. You'll see great things, you'll do great things, meet great people.
If we could have the panel come forward, please. Joining us on the panel will be two of our lead linemen, Mike Birkenpass, who you just saw, and Phil Elgersma. Phil's up in the Orange City crew. And then we have our board president, Jeff Rader. We have Matt Washburn, executive vice president of NIPCO, and Tom Wagner, one of our directors. We're going to limit this to just a couple of questions per person, so we'll try to have you out here before midnight. Just kidding, but we will keep this moving along. And I gotta get my, where'd my pointer go? There it is. Got too many things here. We're gonna go back to. Okay, so you just got to see the video, and it's pretty impressive. That was actually Mike's second trip to Guatemala. He had been on one previously. He did such a good job with that they asked him to lead it. It was some linemen, 7 from Iowa and 7 from Minnesota. This first question is going to be for Mike. Mike, that was a pretty inspiring video, and it's pretty obvious that you had some pretty challenging working conditions. Could you comment about what it was like and how rewarding it was to help bring electricity to many families for the very first time?
Challenging is an understatement. Don't realize how fortunate we are here for our terrain and the equipment that we have to do it. The first time I went, I didn't realize 100% what I got into until about 2 days into it. And rewarding is an understatement. Both times you go there to change somebody else's life, and I think my life came out more changed than theirs.
So how did the people react? We saw a little bit of that, but how did someone react, the kids and so forth, to seeing the lights for the first time?
The laughter, as soon as the light, everybody turned the light switch on, the smiling faces, just unbelievable.
So you've done that a couple times. Would you do it again?
One bat an eye, I would definitely go again. Definitely want to give somebody else a chance to go who wants to go, but push come to shove, I would not bat an eye in going again.
Thanks for your work, Mike. That's pretty impressive. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's show Mike our appreciation. He represented us well. We were going to go to Phil next, but since there was a minor storm event last week, I believe they called it Nyla, that impacted a big chunk of the NIPCO system, and we were really fortunate on the north side of the system. We had just a few outages, a couple substations out for a little while on Wednesday, but they were able to NIPCO was able to get that back in. But Matt Washburn, Executive Vice President of NIPCO, he's had quite a 4 or 5 days here. That probably seems like a month, but they've been through it. Matt, could you share just a little bit about what you guys experienced?
Sure. Mike said that down in Guatemala, they giggled when the lights came on. Same thing happened in Ottawa last so make light of it, because that's otherwise, as you just kind of cry about it. But you can see on the screen there, we got severely hit south of Highway 20 is what got, and it was on March 19th. We actually just sent all the crews home today from East River and Corn Belt. We had just over 10 miles of line that was flat. You can see the pictures there. Those are down by Ottawa and Salix. Right now we're up over 200 structures that were destroyed. What I think we all have storm damages, and it's been a tough year. You get so wrapped up in your own disaster down south. I forgot all about the floods last June. That was just within the last year. in your guys' service territory as well. So the entire NIPCO family has felt it this year in the last 12 months, but tremendous job by the cooperative. You really find the value of the cooperative network when you get into these issues. Very unique storm in that it hit the southwest corner of the 69 kV system. And we build our system for single contingency. And so what that means is if there's an individual line or structure that goes down, it's redundant. So we can, at the control center in Lamar's, they can flip a couple of breakers and switches and it just reroutes the power and people just maybe see an instantaneous blink. But with this storm around Ottawa, it was a triple contingency. We lost 3 lines into a major switch station and there was just no electricity for Western Monona and Western Harrison County. So they went through an 84-hour outage. I've been joking about it and I've been getting a lot of business from my friends about it, but I did get on Facebook and we did do some updates and I think that was really well received. I've been really proud of the REC membership. Everybody understands if you've driven down south of Sioux City in the last week since the storm, those poles are flattened. Monona County, Harrison County just got rocked. And first time, I've been at NIPCO for 23 years. It's definitely the worst damage that we've had. I think Mike likes challenges. You were out at NIPCO on Sunday. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you're just drawn to the disaster or... Oh, he's bringing materials. Thank you very much, Mike. But yeah, I'll wrap up. You can see there, that's the thickness of the ice on the conductor. It's kind of hard to tell from that picture, but that is the circumference of like when you get a 20-ounce pop at Casey's or your convenience store, the plastic bottle, that is the thickness of that ice with 50-mile-an-hour winds. That storm last Wednesday, we started taking outages at 3 in the morning, Wednesday morning. The storm sat over us until 6 o'clock that night. And I've been thanking everybody ad nauseum, but East River is the equivalent of NIPCO for Eastern South Dakota. Corn Belt Power does the same thing NIPCO does for North Central Iowa. They sent multiple crews over, and East River, I think we're gonna have to get some track equipment. They brought down their track equipment. Without that track equipment to get through the mud, because it started melting, and 8-9 inches of snow on the river bottom, on the gumbo. For those of you who have ever been down in the gumbo, it is different dirt. It's like potting clay, that's what it turns into. And without the tracks, we would still be down there. Right now, I wouldn't be here talking. I'd be down playing in the mud with the guys, but not doing the work, but taking food. I was lunch lady for the last week. So, we all go through it. You guys went through it last June. But it really shows when chips are down, when Mother Nature bites us, the power of the REC network, not just here locally in the NIPCO family, but also regionally. We turned away more people to come help us than we could take. And I think to me, that's a good karma of our whole area coming back, because I know Northwest REC has sent your guys out multiple times. We have sent guys out multiple times. You always say, happy to help, hope we never have to ask for help. We had to ask for help, and that good karma came back in spades. It really was overwhelming how much assistance that we got from the REC network.
Well, great job by NIPCO and your team. We appreciate the service that we get. Fortunately, again, we didn't have to deal with this one too much. We had a little bit, but it's reassuring to see how NIPCO was able to pull together other cooperative employees to help from other areas. We do the same thing. We sent 8 linemen. After we had everybody back on by Wednesday night, we sent 8 of our linemen and 4 trucks to Woodbury County REC for all day on Thursday. I think Mike was part of that too, so not only got to go to Guatemala, but he got to go to Woodbury to help this year. He's a world traveler. And then I think a few went back again the following day. So that's part of our mutual aid assistance that we have within the cooperative family. And that was great. One of the other things we've found from our consolidations, we're not just Plymouth Electric anymore, Sioux Electric. We weren't hit too bad on the north end of the system. In fact, there was hardly a snowflake up in Sioux County. Ida County had 10 inches of snow. Once we had everybody back on the other areas, we sent them all down to Ida County to help out, to get them much quicker, because they only have 3 linemen down there right now. And then the next day went to Woodbury. So good job by the guys on that. So with us here, just to my left, is Phil Elgersma. Phil's lead lineman with our Orange City crew. He's also taken on the responsibility of doing some of our safety coordination along with Holly.
And safety is our highest priority. And when we talk to the guys about what is, they work with all the, hotline and all the work that they do, what's one of their biggest safety concerns, and it actually ends up being traffic control. Phil's going to talk just a little bit about that.
Yeah, in our day-to-day work on the line, we have operating procedures working the high voltage, and we have equipment that's insulated. As long as we follow those operating procedures, I really don't feel like I'm in danger, and my crew's not in danger. We have ways to work around all that. But every day when we do a job safety analysis before we ever start a job, the number one thing I rate for hazard is traffic. Because I can control our crew, we can take care of ourselves and control what we do. But for us, we can put warning signs up, we can put cones out, we have our strobes going, but we still cannot physically control traffic. And we've had close calls, and we've had people run over cones, people knock signs over. It's almost a weekly situation where someone will fly through our work site and they're looking down at their phone, and you think they didn't even know we were here, And this time of year, in the spring, we realize that the shoulders are soft, the roads are soft, so our equipment is a little further out in the road. And we do put up these utility work ahead signs, and we are very conscientious, and we try to get over as far as possible and put advance warnings out. But to the members and to the public, if you could keep an eye on my guys and on our crews and be conscientious of that, that's greatly appreciated. And
move over and slow down.
Yep. And that's the law. When you see warning lights out, crews working, move over and slow down is the law. So.
Thank you. Another one for you, Phil, is our after-hours outage reporting. We had a member asking about how do we report an outage, and everybody should have gotten a magnet tonight that you can put on your fridge and know what that 800 number is. But could you talk a little bit about how a member would report an outage after hours?
Yeah, so we have two main ways. The first one is, I would say the first one is calling our dispatch, and that's that 800 number, and that's our SRS dispatch is who you will contact, and then they contact the crews. And
who's SRS?
SRS is it's a company that we use, and after hours, they're there 24/7 answering calls. They receive outage information. They have maps of our system. They have our phone numbers, and they contact us with your information, your location, your address, and the information that you give them, like if a tree fell through the line, or whatever information you can give them helps us out. That shortens our outage times. And so that's if you call the 1-800 number. The other way is to go through our Smart Hub online. And with that, you put your information in, and as we go around and get the power restored, it will send you a notification that your power's on. Like if you have hog barns and you get a call that your power's out, you don't physically have to be at the hog barn, because when that power comes back on, they'll notify you that that power's back on. And yeah, it's Smart Hub, and that's at nwrec.smarthub, or you can just go to nwrec.coop, and there's a tile in there for that also.
Very good. And if you're signed up for Smart Hub, you can get text notifications that your service has been restored after an outage and that type of thing. And SRS is based up in Bismarck, North Dakota. They're actually under the Basin Electric umbrella, and they provide after-hour services for a lot of cooperatives. But they answer the phone, Northwest REC. They know that you're calling and have your information available, and then they dispatch to, whether it's the Lamar's crew or Orange City crew, they know what district it's in. What about if somebody doesn't do that? We've had a few that leave a message on our after-hours phone service, and
You don't work on Saturdays, do you, or Sundays? The gals don't. So if that message is left on our after hours voicemail at the office, it may be Monday before we get that. So very important that people go through the full outage reporting that they can talk to SRS, right?
Yep. Unless you want to wait until Monday to get your power restored, go one of these routes and we'll get to you as quick as we can.
And what's a good tool to use if they want to see what's going on, where all the damage is around the state? Could you talk a little bit about the outage map?
Yep, like with this last storm, if you go to nwrec.coop, there's a tile there that you can click on, and it'll pull up the outage map for all the RECs in the state. And so you can, like with that storm, you can track kind of where that went. You can see your county, you can see how many members are out, and it's a useful tool, and it's kind of neat to watch. You know, hopefully none of those tiles are ever lit up, but that's
No, it's not neat to watch.
yeah, well,
it's colorful.
Yeah.
Too soon. You can't pull this up already. Too soon.
We talked about the June flooding, or you saw that in the video. We have ice storms. There's all kinds of weather situations that you guys get the opportunity to go out and work in all hours of the day. And so we do appreciate what the linemen do and the hazardous conditions they have to work in. Can we show our appreciation to them for what they do? Thanks, guys. The next question is for Tom. Tom, again, is our NIPCO director, sits on the Basin Board up in North Dakota. We talk in terms of thousands and millions. Up there, I think they talk in terms of billions. But anyway, big numbers. But Tom, Basin's initial generation fleet, and this is the AVS 1 and 2, was coal generation. Actually now, with our generation mix, coal is down to less than 30% when you take into consideration the hydro. That's for the NIPCO, the blended, not the Basin blended, but it's significantly less than what it was. But with the new change in the administration, we know there could be some changes regarding coal. What is your outlook? What do you think? Can we run coal plants longer? Do you think we'll ever build a new coal plant?
Basin Electric built probably one of the last 2 coal plants in the United States, and that came online in 2011. That was Dry Fork Station out in Wyoming. It's a very efficient, has all the latest environmental equipment on it. It does not capture a CO2, but it does have a experimental research facility there to study capturing CO2. So I think at a point in time, if it's necessary, we will be able to capture that CO2. But looking at the fleet we have right now, Leland Old Station #1 came on in about 1968 or 67 or 68, and that is still operational. It's been updated over the years. Its depreciable life has come and gone, but we've updated, extended that depreciable life. When I got on the Basin Board 7.5 years ago, there was talk of when we were shutting that down, and that was from 2028 to 2032, in that range. There's no way we can shut that down with the amount of load growth that we have. So we have Leland Olds is our oldest station. There's Laramie River Station out in Wyoming, that's 3 units, and then AVS, Antelope Valley here, and then Dry Fork Station. So we have a very highly efficient, what I would argue a very clean fleet of coal. We have abundant amount of coal. Now to say one administration says we're going to go ahead with coal, in 4 years we get another administration says no coal. Okay, you can have coal. No, you can't have coal. So that's the difficulty. Basin Electric, we need those coal units, but in an environment when you don't know, it's hard to invest a lot of money in those when you don't know their future. Will there be another coal plant built? I think that's really possible. Dry Fork Station out in Wyoming, they built that with the ability to build Dry Fork Station #2. Whether that'll ever happen, I don't know, but I could conceive that happening, especially with some technology if we can capture some of the CO2, whether that's whether what you think of CO2 and the environment or not, if we can do that, there's probably a possibility that we can build that.
Thanks, Tom. Staying with the basin theme, we're in kind of a build cycle, a high demand growth cycle, whether it's data centers or oil load or other economic development housing. We're just in a growth mode which requires generation. And we saw an eye-opening slide the other day that shows the all-in costs of Basin's total generation fleet up to this point in time, and then what their newest natural gas one is going to cost. It was something like $800 per kW for the all-in of what we have today with coal and wind and natural gas, $800 a kW. And I believe the new number for the natural gas was $2,700? $2,700 compared to, so you can about imagine that does have some impact on, so what are you seeing as far as with this new generation, changes in the industry, impact on Basin's costs and their rates?
Right, and there's a chart that I could show you that it shows how rates were in 1970. Basin started building a lot of these coal fleets, their coal fleet, and costs went up and our rate went up. We overshot the build a little bit back then. They thought the growth was going to keep going up. It didn't quite, but we leveled off. We had 25 years of stable rates. Back in the early 2010s, 2010, right in there, we started building for the oil growth in North Dakota, and our costs started going up, and that's when our rates started going up again. Then we kind of plateaued, and we've been stable, like I mentioned earlier, 9.5 years of stable rates. So Basin's been there, but now we see significant load growth across the Basin footprint, and that requires building things. So again, I think there's going to be rate pressure. Lyle alluded to the cost. We approved a new 1,400 megawatt natural gas facility in North Dakota, and that will cost Basin Electric $4 billion to build. Inflation and the cost of everything is incredible. We have a new facility coming on this summer. It's about 600 megawatts, and that is 800 million. That seems like a lot, but not compared to 4 billion. So even in the last 4 years, the cost increase have been incredible. So that will affect the rate that gets charged to NIPCO and hence to Northwest REC.
Thank you, Tom. The next question is for Matt, the NIPCO Executive Vice President, and with the fact, and I love to remind Matt of this, and he smiles every time, but that 80 cents out of every dollar that you send to us, we send to NIPCO. NIPCO in turn buys hydropower and Basin electric power. And not only is Basin seeing some cost pressures, but there's been some hydro rate increases with the drought as well. And there's other changes, just multiple changes. We have probably never seen so many changes happening in our industry. So Matt, could you address just the changing industry and cost issues that NIPCO's seeing?
Yeah, we're in the same boat as everybody. So we've been very fortunate in the NIPCO family. You know, we have had stable rates at NIPCO as well for 10 years. And you think back to the pandemic, we went through this tremendous inflation coming out of the pandemic in 21 and 22. And yet our electric rates stayed the same. We were able to absorb those increases. But like what Tom said, at the generation level, us at the transmission level, and it's even happening at the distribution level, the cost of materials is just skyrocketed, and it has caught up with us. So as the membership continues to grow, when we put in new substations, I was going to say from the storm this week, 100% of our line that went down was 60 plus years old. We are 2/3 of the way on the transmission system in Western Iowa of replacing it. The old, and the majority of the old that we haven't gotten to yet is on the south end of the system. And so I say this for this reason. It's
Thanks
expensive.
For building on the north first. Yeah,
yes.
Matt, really appreciate it.
Yes. How far is your video feed going? I guess, is this my favorite co-op? And no matter where I am, it's my favorite co-op. So this is definitely my favorite co-op. There's a cost to reliability, long story short. And so to keep the lights on in these storms that that's been hitting us, we've got to keep going with our rebuild. And there definitely is, for the next 3 to 5 years, we've got some serious pressure on that's going to happen to our bottom line And our bottom line is not what we make, because we're a nonprofit co-op like you all. It's not what we make, it's what the rates are ultimately to you. That's what we judge ourselves on, and we've got pressure on those rates for the next 3 to 5 years, and it's just accumulation of all of the, every industry has gone through this. Tell me anything, again, then this isn't a brag or a flex or anything, but tell me anything that you haven't paid more for since coming out of the pandemic. There's nothing, and electricity's been the same. It's caught up with us, and again, that's through the prudent planning, financial planning of the local board, the NIPCO board, the Basin board. But I've been with, one more thing, I've been with the RECs since 2001, almost as long as Lyle. And I'm joking. This is our third build cycle since 2001 in the Basin family. And the common denominator is when we go through a build cycle, there's always pressure on the rates. We go to another level on the rates. So again, if you look at us nationally, we still are sitting in a very good spot. You all at Northwest REC nationally are absolutely a shining star. You guys are unbelievably low rates, again, through the prudence of your local board. So we definitely have rate pressure. With that said, what's leading to it, what's changing in industry, to answer Lyle's question, locally, and you've heard a lot about it, it's AI, it's data centers, it's Bitcoin miners, data mining, okay, blockchain miners. We've all heard about this. They are incredibly intensive energy users. And when they cite, and we have 5 of them now on the NIPCO grid, adds up to about 22 megawatts of load. That's a tremendous amount. All of NIPCO, the entire Western Iowa, the entire NIPCO family is about 260 megawatts, just to give you a relative, what is this? And again, it's just a unique load that we've never seen in the history of our network. It puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Basin because the energy gets used up very quickly. It's a high load factor. And what do I mean by that is when they turn those on, it is pegged out at 95, 100%, 24/7, very high load factor. And so we have to make sure that we have the energy to supply to these people, but also then we have an eye on the rest. So that's 5 Bitcoin users across the NIPCO family, but we know that we have 33,000 members at the end of the line that have bought and paid for the system. We want to make sure everybody gets treated fairly, and that's put a lot of challenges, not just at NIPCO, it's the NIPCO family. We meet with all of our managers, all the boards, and we try to find what is the most fair way to go forward with this. But this is just the beginning, folks. AI, this is a game changer for our society, and whoever has the power to do AI is going to have the keys to the kingdom right now. And there's a big race, whether it's the United States, whether it's China, whether it's Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of pressure. And in our neck of the woods in the upper Midwest, we have cheap power because of the dam power. We have cheap power because Basin has done such a tremendous job. It's going to be very challenging as we go forward to make sure that we don't step on our existing users here and treat everybody fairly as we go forward. So that is a new thing that's come up, and it is constantly changing. And one more thing, I guess, because it's been a crazy year. I did want to say this to y'all, and you give me a microphone, I'll talk forever. But not too long. Someone told me to keep it short over there. So another pressure that we have coming forward now is because these data centers are seen as economic development for our local areas, for the state of Iowa, we're now getting pressure politically. And we, as cooperative members, owners of the co-op, you guys have bought and paid for this system. Your distribution system, your transmission system, your generation system. We have to be very good guardians at the door to make sure that people don't come in and try to tell us how to run our system, or that they have somehow they get a right, or somehow they get a free ride on our system. And there is a lot of political pressure right now because a lot of people see these as a big economic boom. And we got to be very careful here to make sure that large industries are not trying to wedge themselves between NIPCO and Northwest REC, NIPCO and Basin. We own this system. You guys have bought this. You own this system. And we got to be very big, huge guardians of this to make sure that we defend our service territory and we defend all of the rights of us as utilities that our forefathers for the last 75 plus years have built. And there's a lot of pressure on us right now to kind of bend the knee to these people. And we got to really be, I probably went into too much, but you talked about new things. That's something I've never seen, so I know you've never seen it. So, because you've been here longer than me. So.
2 years longer than you, I think. So, thanks, Matt. We had a lot of questions from the members. We can't cover them all. We're going to end with this last one. It's following up, and so what does that do to us on the retail rates? And I thought, you know what? I think Jeff would be really good at answering that instead of me. So I'm asking the questions, and hate to end on a downer, but again, it's been a long period of rate stability. We are going to have a little bit of pressure. We're going to work through it. We're still going to be competitive. Jeff is going to talk a little bit about that. We had a number of comments, Jeff, from members asking about rates. Many of them surprised that we've been able to hold it for 10 years. We've heard Tom and Matt share some thoughts on how things are changing related to power supply, with power supply expenses accounting for how much? 80% of Northwest REC's total expenses. How will this impact the Northwest REC retail rate?
It will go up. There's no doubt about it. But we've had 10 years of stable rates. In the middle of the year, we're planning on doing a PCA increase as we work forward. We have CFC, our financial expert, doing a rate study for us. We haven't done a rate adjustment for 10 years. And hopefully after that, we'll try to make a rise fair enough to all the members involved. We still have one of the lowest rates in Iowa, the bottom 4% in the United States. People might ask why or who's cheaper than us. Probably not in our service territory. A lot of the co-ops maybe in the Northeast that have a lot of hydro, they have cheap electricity. It's not because of the economics. Everyone in the Midwest, I don't think there's hardly anyone that can touch us for our efficiency with the crews we have and the management and the consolidation. And we understand that any increase affects everybody's budget, but we are a non-for-profit cooperative. We're not looking to pad anybody's shareholder budgets. We're just going to maintain rates that we need to keep our cooperative financially stable. We'll continue to implement cost savings measures. We try to do the best we can of keeping the lights on as most economical as we can. And we'd like to thank all of you for your ongoing support and understanding. If you got any other specific questions afterwards, feel free to contact us individually.
Going to end on this real quick one, Jeff. Miles of line, we did get some questions on this, and we can't end on talking about rate increase, right? Let's talk about miles of line. Could you highlight, we got a lot of miles of line. Could you share a little bit about how much percentage overhead and underground?
Yeah, we have over 3,700 miles of line, and I think it was maybe 12 or some years ago, a strategic planning, we decided maybe we need to speed up the increase of replacing line and start doing more underground where possible. So we do a lot of our single phase ourselves. We bought our own plow, and economically we can do that about the same as overhead. So we've had increased our underground up to 28%. We had a goal at the time of 30% by year 30. We're going to easily meet that. We also had a bunch of contractors come in and did some bigger areas for us. When we had the COVID outbreak and had problems getting transformers, all of a sudden we couldn't find underground transformers or the mount pads. We put a lot of overhead in because that's what we had. So we've done what we can to try to replace as much as the crews can handle, and we still maintain a 99.9% reliability. We're not going to have all our lines underground. The three-phase, it's too expensive to put underground. So but we will, put shorter spans in, and hopefully we don't have the old stuff go down like Matt had.
Very good, thank you. We're going to end it with that. Again, thank you for your support and loyalty. Jeff has a little bit more business to conduct here, but we're just about done. Thank you to the panelists. Hopefully we gave you a little bit of information that's useful. Please thank the panelists for me.
The final order of business this evening is the Inspector of Elections report. This time I'll invite Adam Schmidt to come back to present his report. Adam.
Thanks, Jeff. It's a great discussion. I always appreciate that panel. But now back to the boring stuff with me. So we, the undersigned, the duly appointed inspectors of election for District 3 of Northwest Rural Electric Co-op, met this 25th day of March 2025 and do hereby certify that the election of the director for District 3 was fairly and impartially conducted, and that we received the votes of the members by ballot and counted the votes cast. We further certify that the following person has been duly elected as a director for a 4-year term in District 3, Dave Bruggeman. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for the approval of the Certificate of Inspector's Report.
Okay. It's been moved, and is there a second for the ratification? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. All three. Yeah.
The next item of business is the ratification of the director elections that took place in Districts 1, 3, and 4 this year. The Inspectors of Election Committee has certified the election process, and the following members have been duly elected as director for a 4-year term. District 1, Steve Abma. District 3, Dave Bruggeman. District 4, Dale Ulrich. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the ratification of the 2024 director election results.
Thank you, Adam. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Also, thank everyone again who actually put their name up for the election. We appreciate it. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us this evening at the 27th annual meeting of Northwest REC. It stands adjourned. Stay healthy and drive safe home. Thanks everyone for attending.